What's good, y'all? This is your boy Dream Big back at it again with another video. If you don't know, he's been in other videos as well. This is Clyde.
Clyde since 9-1 on Snap or Instagram, all of that good stuff. How y'all doing? What's up?
So what up? So today's video, what we talking about?
We talking about mixtapes versus albums. Mixtapes versus albums.
So for me, I feel like artists do it nowadays. Basically, they don't want a lot of hands in the pot. Too many hands in the pot, too many people to pay. I'm talking about labels. So if you're dropping out, so let's use, since I'm talking about Drake mostly, there's other people, but on my mind, I always refer to Drake because I feel like he started this trend or whatever.
Definitely.
So, so with him, he signed to Young Money. Young Money's under Cash Money. Cash Money's under Universal. So already just going there. That's a couple
signed
people.
To one nigga that signed to two niggas that signed to three niggas. Now that's bad luck. Basically, shout out to God Pusha T for that line.
Yeah, man. It's you gotta pay too many people. Too many people getting the money before you even get the money. You even see the money.
Pockets.
And then we not even talking about Jay Prince. Jay Prince, his management. I'm pretty sure they get to secure the bag too. So that's another bag you gotta get. So basically,
that's on my mama, bro. Bag secured.
So basically, with that, when you drop an album, you gotta pay all those people. So when you drop a mixtape, you probably cut that in like 75%. It's less cost. You're not pressured. You're not pressured. I'm pretty sure you're not pressured to drop a single. Yeah. You know, it's more organic. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
People are dropping albums. People are dropping mixtapes, but you know, like they're kind of all. It's usually when back in the day when you had a mixtape, you could tell the mixtape was different than an album. Like the mixtape had a whole bunch of what was considered throwaway joints on it.
Nah, me. When I used to hear mixtapes, I expect to hear like the hottest DJ. I'm expecting to hear DJ Clue, DJ Drama on it, speaking on it. Those are the mixtapes I loved and enjoyed, mostly from like Lil Wayne and stuff, because that's the era I grew up in. But Lil Wayne, Fab, Blase. I'm used to hearing mixtapes like that, but nowadays, like literally, mixtapes sound like they were an album. Like it should have been an album, like literally. So it gets confusing, and I notice now with a lot of artists, they're dropping mixtapes with original music. Back a couple years back, when mixtapes used to drop, you're using like Homeboys like singles, like you're using Hot in Here or some Blase Wasted, like you remixing Wasted or something with just you on it. So I think a lot of it's changed, but most of it.
Do you think that has to do more so with the fact that a lot of new rappers can't actually rap? And what I mean by that is say, okay, when you heard Wayne do stuff like that, freestyles on, for example, No Ceilings and the Beyonce joint that he did, the Upgrade joint, Wayne was rapping, he was freestyling, that was completely off the top of the dome. Like, let's be honest, artists like Extension and Uzi Vert, you have never really look at their freshman freestyles. These cats are not rapping. They're not going off the dome and just keeping a flow and going with it. They're doing pre-written joints, pre-written freestyles and everything. Not to say that they're, but these cats aren't rapping. Like, all my friends, they repeat the same stuff over and over again. Like, come on. They're not rapping the way that they want to.
Well, I guess it depends on who you're talking about, because I feel like when Lil Wayne did it, it was literally for the, like, I feel like those tapes, like No Ceilings and stuff, were literally for the fans, because
I agree.
Yeah, it was just literally for the fans to give them some new music to listen to in between the albums or whatever. And he's kind of like, he was back then, well, he probably still does it. Like back then, he was really trying to be like Hove, like he looks up to Hove, and he was really like on a straight off the dome. I don't write it on paper, blase. So I really think he started like that. He's really the one to blame, in all honesty. He started that fast food rap shit, like the Young Thugs and all that. They look up to that nigga. This is my opinion, they just don't do it as good as Lil Wayne has done it in the past.
All right, so my opinion's a little bit different than that.
Okay.
But I get where you're going with it. So my opinion is this. First off, we live in a day and age of nobody wants to be signed to a label. Labels take too much money out the pockets. You get into it. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, I think that's the reason why most albums that are coming out are are on mixtapes, but I think that the trend of that is going to change too, because I think labels are going to become obsolete pretty soon. And what I mean by that is most of these artists now, you have so many different platforms to get your name up. You got Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. This is a social media era. Yeah. Back when, you know, Jay was first getting hot, Jay didn't have Instagram. Jay didn't have Twitter. But Jay, if you look at Jay is a perfect example of people just dropping based on what their name. Jay doesn't promote anything anymore. Like his Rap Radar podcast, he doesn't promo stuff like that. He just says, oh, put speculation out there in the world. Then out of nowhere, boom, here comes the album. He did it with Magna Carta. He's done it with 444.
But only a certain amount of rappers could do that. Like
exactly. But how did Jay get to that point? Because labels and everything were pushing him when he didn't have the platform to be able to put himself out there. For a perfect example, and I say this much. Jay-Z will be Sean Corey Carter, just like any other Brooklyn rapper that is not signed, that's hot, because I know it's a lot of hot Brooklyn rappers out there, but Jay-Z would be any other Brooklyn rapper if he didn't have the labels behind him to push him to the mass media outlets. Now, they don't need a label to push them to the mass media outlets. They can pretty much do that all on their own. Bryson Tiller is that you just said, Bryson Tiller is a perfect example. Bryson Tiller got 1 million hits on SoundCloud. That's how he got his notoriety. Not because RCA was pushing him, but because we live in a day of social media. It's word of mouth. You hear from one person, you hear from another person, you hear from, so many people, and then eventually people catch on to what you're listening to.
I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, it's not exactly the same thing with Jay-Z. I mean, it's word of mouth. It's word of mouth. And I mean, back then it's like radio. Like you getting this to the nearest DJ, you finding Funk Flex, you trying to get on Funk Flex, get your demo out, and hopefully the radio fuck with you. Then some labels fuck with you, and you got a street team like he had Dame Dash.
But okay, let me ask you a question. So when's the last time you honestly listened to the radio?
Honestly listen to radio?
No. Just say it.
I personally haven't listened to the radio. Say it because you're gonna make my point. But I'm just saying, I'm talking about back then. I'm not talking about now.
No, but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. The difference in back then and back now is now we live in the day and age of Apple Music, all of that other stuff.
24/7. Okay.
Yeah,
where you going.
Come on now. Every car has an auxiliary port now. Yeah. Every car has pretty much Bluetooth in it now. It's like they give you the option. Vehicles, everything, they give you that option to choose your own radio. You listen to the music that you want to listen to. Yeah. Radio is cool. You watch the podcast you want to watch too. All of that. Everything is now fully personal choice.
I mean, yeah, but you also got to remember, you also had your choice back then too. You also had cassette players and CD players and things like that. So you also had the choice to...
But you had to wait until the artist dropped the full album. Now, you can make your own radio mix where you can have Chance the Rapper, Rich Homie Quan, Deborah Cox.
They had radio mix.
Marvin Sapp in the same setting if you want to.
I definitely was that kid when I was little to make my own playlist. With, I used to press the record button on my cassette so I could listen to that song a billion times.
I used to make burn mixtapes when I was in middle school and stuff like that for people who wanted just certain songs. Yeah. Now we live in the day and age of all you do Spotify. Let me add this to a playlist, boom, and then you just plug it into your car, you play it and go. It's a lot easier now as opposed to how it was previously. Like I'm saying, I get that whole thing, but I'm saying they don't have to. What I'm saying about artists and everything is that back in the day they needed radio, they needed all this. Artists don't need radio. Artists don't need all of that because you have so many. Everything is completely choice. You look at these cats, these new cats, Extension. I've never heard an Extension song before in my life on the radio. Period, point blank, period. And he was hot before that. TK47. He's hot. It was hot before he got an ounce of spin in the radio anywhere else. And he's hot because they don't need this. They have these platforms. They make these followers and stuff like that. They spam you. These are the same cats that are spamming you on Twitter, Instagram, saying, "Oh, listen to my shit, listen to my shit," and basically that's what you're getting.
So why? So once again, why not? If you got the heat out the song, why not make it an album?
Why?
Yeah,
paying everybody. You're paying distribution fees. You're paying distribution fees. You're paying in all of these people who have had literally nothing to do with your success. So it's like, why sit up there and pay that same amount of money? Like, okay, for example, why am I sitting up there going to somebody who just because they have a platform, let's just say, and you're gonna get, if you have the name, Chance the Rapper is a perfect example. What can Interscope, RCA, Universal, what can any of them do for Chance that he can't do for himself? Or for example, perfect example, why is he paying you a certain lump sum when he can go to somebody he knows or go to somebody else or create his own conglomerate of people to do everything that a label does?
But everybody, that's right. That's correct. But everybody's not Chance. Like, I feel like Chance and a few others can't.
Chance built his name, and Chance built his name off of Chance came up in that social media era, Chris. We're not gonna.
Yeah.
He came up in that social media era. Chance is a perfect example of coming up in the social media era and being able to capitalize on your social media success. If you have a following and people are following, your following gets bigger day by day. You see it. Flat Tummy Tea. Chicks that sell Flat Tummy Tea have 15,000 followers. I know they're not selling 15,000 packets of Flat Tummy Tea. Let's be honest here. But they have that following. And then they get paid off stuff like that. Do you not realize people have 15? If you have an Instagram with 15 to 20,000 followers, you can physically monetize that by saying, okay, boom, people do it all the time. Contact me for paid promotion, marketing, all of that, stuff like that. And they market it to a whole different audience. And then somebody's going to like it. And then it's so quick to, we do it all the time. Oh, this song is hot. I'm going to repost it. And then post it. And then somebody else, you get 30 likes, 40 likes, 50 likes. Every time you do that, if you realize, if you take that one hit and you say, okay, you repost something and it gets 1,000 likes. If you have something, or even if you start up, if you repost something and you have a following and you get 50 likes on it, somebody from that following is going to share it with somebody else. They may even share it on their page. If they share it on their page and they have more followers than you, then you get 100 likes. It's 150 likes right there. Then they share it with somebody else who gets 1,000 likes. It's 1,150 likes. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's a domino effect. It's a domino effect. So they don't need labels. They don't need any of that. So why are we playing labels to put out these things called albums when we could realistically go, because that's at the end of the day, anybody can go online right now and go to Apple Music and say, I want you guys to put this out there. And Apple will say, okay, we're going to put it out there. You set the price point of how much you want to make, how much you think people will purchase it for.
Shit, I got music on Apple Music.
See? Hello? So why would you, and that's the thing, if you got a following of Chance the Rapper, you got 1 million people on Twitter. All it takes for you is to say, okay, boom, go buy my album on Apple Music. Most people are gonna, because we do not live in a day and age. Most vehicles do not still have CD players in them. They don't come with CD players. A CD player is now optional equipment, as it was at one point. I remember, like in '95, a CD player was an optional thing that you had to put in the trunk of your car and get it, wired through. Now and then there was a time period that came with it. My car's in 2014 and does not have a CD player.
Oh wow!
Does not have a CD player.
Oh, mine do. Shit.
So that's my point. Like they don't need labels. They don't need labels to put out albums. So why put out an album that they're gonna? And it probably costs them more. They're probably making a lot less money putting out an album than they would putting out a mixtape. They're probably making more money on the back end on mixtapes and stuff because they don't have to pay all that overhead.
So besides the money. Mm-hmm. And the less hands dipping, do you think there's any other reason why an artist would...
Creativity. Labels, perfect example, and I said this. Dave East went on The Breakfast Club. And when Dave East went on The Breakfast Club, he was very vocal. Nothing against him and Chris Brown, because I think the song is fire, perfect. It's a good song. But if you know the Dave East catalog the way that it is, that's not a Dave East record. And so he went on there and he said... I put this out because the label... They said it. He put it out there because the label wanted him to put it out. The label had to have a single. The label had to have something to push. Mm-hmm. Davies could have pushed that album by himself completely without a label, and it probably would have sold just as well as it did without a label.
A mixtape rather than an album. Do you feel like that takes away as like a consumer? Like, hey, I can't really count this as a classic or whatever.
Not at all.
Because you named this a mixtape.
Not at all.
Because I only count albums as being classic. So.
I disagree. And the reason I say that is...
And also, on top of that, before you answer, is there a difference between... Or is there a difference, or are they in the same category as a classic mixtape or a classic album? Do those get weighed differently?
I think back in the day, early, even maybe 5-6 years ago, you could consider it a difference. However, I also disagree with that statement wholeheartedly, because you look at certain artists that have put out mixtapes that have been more classic than their albums.
Okay.
In my opinion, and this
Big
is
Sean.
again, Big Sean is one. Detroit, it's better than Big Sean. Detroit's mixtape is better. Is better than Hall of Fame.
I do think it's better than Hall of Fame, honestly.
Personally, it may be better than I Decided. The verdict is still out on that because I personally like I Decided. But
I like all that.
if someone were to argue,
I don't think it's better than that.
if someone were to argue Detroit was better than that, I would accept the argument. For another example, J. Cole is a perfect example. Friday Night Lights is the best body of work that J. Cole has ever put out. Better than Born Sinner, better than 50 times better than Sideline Story. It's the best body of work that he's put out. Complete full body of work. And that is a mixtape. So in a lot of times, in my opinion, I think rappers put out their best, especially rappers. I think rappers put out Drake Comeback Season is a better album than 95% of anything else that he's put out. If you're reading this now, it's too late. And the reason that they talk about that, the reason that maybe he did that might have had more to do with Cash Money as a label and not necessarily that because it was a mixtape and then, the same day it dropped, well, no, it's an album. So, whatever. But a lot of people's most classic material, Chance the Rapper, Acid Rap, stuff like that. Well, Chance doesn't count because all his music is good, but Acid Rap is a mixtape, and that's what really put him on. That's, in my opinion, a little bit more classic than some of the stuff that he put out, but you could even say Coloring Book is classic. But it's a mix. Coloring Book is a mixtape. It's a monetized mixtape.
Drake put Chance on. Fuck that.
Okay, here you go. You're right. Kanye might have put Chance on, maybe, but I think Chance had a pretty good following. But
What?
no, I don't think that
Drake knew about Chance before Kanye. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there. The point that I'm trying to make is this, is that I don't think that you can sit up there and you can honestly say just because it's not an album, it's not a classic. That's crazy. It's asinine. That's backwards. You can't say that just because something is not an album, it's not a classic. A lot of people's most classic projects are mixtapes. Let's be honest. That's when you really get the rapper at their full potential. You're getting them because they make such good songs, and the label might turn it down. But then a rapper who really believes in his craft is gonna say, "All right, you turn this down on the album. I'm still gonna put this out on a mixtape for the fans because I believe so much in what my craft is."
Yeah.
So with them saying that, man, no, there's no way for you to sit up there and now say that if it's not an album, it's not a classic. No, in my opinion, albums are becoming, the roles are reversing. Albums are becoming the new mixtapes, which albums are like throwaways that we just give into the label because we got to give something to the label because we're in a contract. And then the mixtape is where you get the true artistry. You get who they really are, who they are as a person, because they don't have to push that. It's natural.
I feel you. Well, that's basically what we got. But yeah, definitely. That's why artists. That's what we feel like why artists are doing it, and leave a comment down below on how you feel about the situation. Do you agree with Marcel? Do you agree with Dream Big?
Marcel? Wow. Wow. Yo, I'm appalled now. If you agree with Clyde, let me know, because clearly Chris doesn't know what he's talking about. But what I'm saying right now, mixtapes are the new album. And don't edit that out. Like, I want everybody to see that you called me Marcel.
All right, you got
It's
it.
your boy Clyde since 9-1.
It's your boy Dream Big. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel. Share.
It's going to be up there somewhere.
Yeah, share. Click on some more videos because we got dope shit on this channel.
Get a lot of shit on the way.
And we out, bro.
Coke.